I'm live. Okay. Hello, Huggies. All right, I'm gonna try this again. Hopefully this will work. I'm just going to live stream until I figure this out. All right. So teaching to a blank computer screen is very weird, and I'm adjusting, and I appreciate your patience as I struggle through this. So thank you. So here is a quick recap of, once again, I'm holding up this sheet. Very frustrating. The first page is so self-explanatory, so that's my bad. The most important thing in this table is knowing the basic difference between subsistence agriculture and commercial agriculture. Subsistence agriculture, developing countries; commercial agriculture, developed countries. So just think, what do we do in the United States? And that's going to be your basic example of how we're going about it. So subsistence agriculture, you're going to have a lot of people farming, so it's a high percentage of the labor force. They're not going to have as much technology and machinery. Their farm sizes will be small, and their diet is not going to have as much things like meat. That entire column was what 9.2 was about. It doesn't say that on the sheet, unfortunately, because this sheet was designed by me to be an in-class activity, and I should have added that since it's not an in-class activity. But for diet and nutrition, it's all here. It's just knowing where, what people are eating for the most part. So for subsistence agriculture, the countries where they practice that, green, a lot of rice. Okay, then if we're looking here in other areas, a lot of wheat. Wheat's going to be very common everywhere. That's why if anyone has a gluten allergy, then this is something you're very familiar with, because wheat. But bottom line, don't panic about the diet. If you don't know what people are eating all over the world, cool. What you do need to know is this idea of food security. It's on page 314. Food security. The United Nations defines food security as physical, social, and economic access at all times to safe and nutritious food, sufficient to meet dietary needs and food preferences for an active and healthy lifestyle. By this definition, around 10% of the world's inhabitants do not have food security. So food security is something that we think of generally as happening at multiple scales of analysis. So there's some countries that struggle more with food security than others, but there is issues within the United States, a lot of people who don't have food security. So if you look at that, access at all times to safe and nutritious food sufficient to meet dietary needs, there's lots of people in this country who don't have that access, whether it's because financially they can't afford it, or geographically there aren't any grocery stores that can meet those needs within their area. If you have to have a car or really fantastic public transportation to access food, that's not safe. That means you could be in a food desert. Anywho, more on that later. So that's what this is about. Okay, what do people who practice commercial agriculture eat? Whatever they want. Whatever they want. Global pandemic. What am I eating right now? Really a whole lot of trash. So much trash. So much trash. Anyways, that's her. Goodbye. Questions. Why is agricultural density of a population lower in developed countries? Because they have technology. When you have technology, you don't need to have a lot of people to work the land. 2% of the population in the United States is farmers, yet they can produce enough food. Again, technology. We have a lot of technology. Why do developing countries not have commercial agriculture? That business is expensive. If you want to get one John Deere tractor, then you have to have, even in the United States, most people can't afford that. It's tens of thousands of dollars. And that's why we get into this whole issue with farming subsidies. How are people going to pay for that? So much talking. Cool. So far, this isn't getting flagged for removal, so that's appreciated. Nice. All right. So now this, again, this is related to food security. What will you probably be tested on when it comes to the AP exam? Probably something more along the lines of food security, since this is an issue where it really requires you to think. It's not about can you memorize these certain things. It's about how are these global issues that something like the United Nations is going to try to address. So, how can we create a more sustainable world globally? How can we improve sustainability locally? When we're developing communities, is Whole Foods going to help build a sustainable community and providing food security for people? Does that really help, or is it too expensive? Like, what do we think about the pricing of food? How does food get priced? All of those are the types of questions you want to think about. Um, Again, it's more fun when you can ask questions. Otherwise, it's just me ranting. But yes, so I do appreciate that. Sorry. I don't know where to look. So that, yes, big picture stuff. And that's cool because this isn't a class where you need to just memorize a bunch of random crap necessarily. I love human geography. Like, I love it because all of this stuff is just about being curious about the world around you and what's happening. So I love that about this class. And so if you're thinking about how can I get ready for these FRQs or how can I make agriculture interesting, really just thinking critically about like the food that you eat or drink for that matter. So if I look at this, it's really making a big deal out of the fact that it uses like stevia. Why does that even matter? All right, once again, I'm distracted. Cool. All right, so then food security, that's what this is all about. If you have to spend a lot of money on food, that's an Ishwa. Okay, then these questions just go with that. Which regions spend a high percentage of their income on food? Okay, so if you're looking at 9-8, the regions that are going to be spending a high income on food, a lot of that we have are going to be in Africa. And this is an interesting case. You would say West Africa and along the coast of East Africa. And then some areas in Saharan Africa, which makes sense because it's desert. So in desert, you're going to have to spend a lot of money on food. And cool. All right. Hey, I got 2 people watching. I think you can comment. Anyway. Cool. Food security again is right there. Cool. Yeah, and that's it. All right. So if you can't print this out, that makes sense because who can afford a printer? They are extremely expensive and the ink is like $1,000. So if you can't print this out, cool, don't print it out. Hopefully you just took all the notes down in your notebook. All right, don't read through everything because they provide so many examples it gets confusing. Right now, if I haven't screwed everything up already. Hopefully not. Key issue 3. All right. So key issue 3, which starts with this big bad guy. All right. So the worksheet that is posted now is all about the different types of subsistence agriculture. Okay. It has this thing where it talks about what are the different regions. And this goes into the different climate regions. If you're a climate buff or you're really into biology or anything kind of related to the science aspect of that, go ahead and focus on that, but you don't need to. The only thing you need to focus on is approximately where do some of these different types of agriculture get practiced. So shifting cultivation, sub-Saharan Africa, and you're going to see it also in South America, kind of, I think, like northern South America. Intensive subsistence, wet rice farming, you're going to see in Asia, kind of like South Asia, East Asia, stuff like that. Don't worry about the exact climate region. That's too much to remember. It's just too much. You don't need to know it either. So agricultural region, and it's even seriously tropical rainy. I do like this map though because it's so colorful. I appreciate that. The stimulation's nice for me. Cool. Anyway, so what you want to go through here then is if, whoop, sorry. I really hope y'all are doing all right as I kind of do this. It's really kind of insane how we're living through this global crisis right now. Sorry, as I pull up the handout that I posted. Yeah. Yeah, sorry. Now I got it. So on the one hand, I think it's super messed up to not be able to give you guys time and space to process that we're living in a global pandemic and you can't leave the house. And Lightfoot now says that because too many people are outside, their police are going to come and break things up. Like, it's just crazy. Anyway, I hope you're okay. I miss you guys, and I really hope you're okay. Yeah. Just want to throw that out there. All right, moving on. Okay, sorry. You're like, stop. If anyone who's watching this, I'm sure you're like, stop it. I thought you're hard enough to follow in class. All right, so if you have that worksheet pulled up, the first thing it wants to know is what subsistence agriculture. Why? Because I'm going to ask you that 1,000 times until you have it committed to memory. So, subsistence agriculture. So now I don't have any more paper, so I'm not printing stuff right now. But what I would do, since I can't print out that worksheet, is I'm just going to put it in the notes here. So subsistence agriculture. You've defined it a bunch of times already. Who cares? Just write it down again. Right? So if we need to define subsistence agriculture, think in your head, what's your quick and dirty definition of it? Got it? Okay. So what's your quick and dirty definition of it? And then if you're not sure, you can always go back to page 310. Write yourself a note. I don't know how to write backwards, y'all, so this is just what's going to happen. Or I'll try. Page 310. So, found in developing countries, production of food primarily for consumption by the farmer's family. All right, so easier definition. Growing food to eat/survive. I know it's backwards. Growing food to eat or survive. And then I'll go found in developing countries. In many developed countries, you still won't find subsistence agriculture practiced by people, even if they are financially struggling, because we don't have access to the land, for one thing. And it's just, we're at kind of a different level. If we do different things with development, we can do that later. But you won't see people in the US practicing subsistence agriculture by choice if they're struggling as much. Okay, so you write that down. Then the next thing you look at is this cool table. And basically what you want to know for all of these different guys is what's the type of agriculture or practice? What's the name of it? Where do they practice it? What do they grow? Okay. how do they use the land and what's going on with animals. When we think about agriculture in developed countries, animals isn't going to be so much an issue as it is technology. Okay, cool. So let's go through the first one for an example, since I can't write backwards. Yeah. All right, cool. So, pastoral nomadism. And I'm going to go ahead and write that up here. Pastoral nomadism. When you hear nomad, you just want to think about someone who walks around a lot. Like a nomad kind of travels from one place to the next. I know it's not backwards. I really wish it were, though. I'm sorry. Yes, it's not backwards. I'm going to try to figure out how to write backwards. But anyway, pastoral nomads. Do you know how to write backwards? I appreciate the comment, though. Thank you, Josh. You're awesome. Pastoral nomadism. Let's see if I can do this. I'll try. Why not? Global pandemic. It's time to try it. Also, if you guys haven't started watching Tiger King on Netflix, you need to get on that right away. Oh, you can see it. Oh, dang. All right. Cool. So this is just because God, whew. Sorry. Thank you. All right, cool. Pastoral nomadism. Just think hunting and gathering. All right, I'm done. I can't. Hunting and gathering. Pastoral nomadism literally means you're wandering around in a field trying to find food. That's about it. So pastoral nomadism. So you want to get first where is it going to be practiced? It's going to be practiced in places where they can't set up large fields for farming. So if the land itself isn't great for agriculture, then that's going to be where you'll find pastoral nomadism. So how am I going to figure out where they do it? I'm just going to look here, and it shows you. So here you've got all that blue, that's pastoral nomadism. And I don't know a ton about physical geography, but I know Northern Africa is a desert. So when I see that, I think, okay, places where they practice it's going to be places where it could be very dry, for example. So and then if I'm looking over here, yep, it's going to be very dry. It's going to be very high. It's going to be those places where we don't have permanent human settlement. So regions where they have it here, I'm going to put where arid, high, and do we have it in cold areas too? No, we have no data for that. Yep. Arid, high, that's the climate. Actual regions, I'm going to think Saharan Africa. Okay, and then the other one is going to be, that's Asia. Central Asia. So that's how I think about it there. Ooh. All right, and so when it says characteristics, next stop down there. That's basically the definition. What's the definition of that type of agriculture? So here it says pastoral nom, and I'm on page 318. 318. It says pastoral nomadism is a form of subsistence agriculture based on the herding of domesticated animals in dry climates where planting crops is impossible. Pastoral nomadism, unlike other subsistence farmers, depend primarily on animals rather than crops for survival. Okay, so characteristics: herding domesticated animals. No planting. Okay. So that's what I want to think about. I'm herding domesticated animals and I'm not planting anything. Domesticated animals, big one. Think about like cows, horses. Those are our domesticated animals. Bum, bum, bum. All right. Next one. So crops will be none. Land use. Sorry, I just want to make sure I get this done. Says that, and I'm just skimming around here. It says they do not wander randomly across the landscape, but have a strong sense of territoriality. Every group controls a piece of territory and will invade another group's territory only in an emergency. The goal of each group is to control a territory large enough to contain the forage and water needed for animals. Okay. All right, so no field for planting. But we have these wide areas of land. Control large pieces of territory. Okay. So there's no field for planting, but they do control large pieces of territory. You need to have a lot of territory for these animals to eat because they're hungry. They need to eat a lot. And a term that they actually, oh God, you guys don't have to know this one. This is sweet. There's no, if they ask a question about transhumans on an FRQ, I am just going to someone in the face. They shouldn't. So for once, I don't have to worry about that. Animals, though. Let's get animals down. We're gonna get camels, goats, and sheep. Bam. Then you got a cute little picture there. No goats. Nice. All right, so pastoral nomadism, don't stress about that one, but this is the idea of how much info you need to write down if you can't print out that sheet. You're not writing down a lot of stuff. Okay, you're not carefully reading every section as you have to. You're pulling out the information based on these key categories. Where is it practiced? What's it like? What are they growing? Okay, and how are they using land? Most important one is this next one, shifting cultivation. So that's on page 320. I posted, if you go to that playlist I created, There's tons of videos on shifting cultivation. That's the best way to remember shifting cultivation. Watch some videos. Shifting cultivation would be a great pre-response question, in my opinion, because it's a great example of an agricultural practice used in developing countries that's not sustainable. It's slash and burn agriculture. So slash and burn is not sustainable. So that's why it would be a great topic, because it's something where you have to tie in a lot of different key themes that we've been going for within the course. Cool. So for shifting cultivation, first thing we want to do then is, like we did pastoral nomadism, where is this practice? And the where, those videos will help too, because you can see in the videos where it's being practiced. In the map, it's showing us a lot of sub-Saharan Africa, and it's showing us places in South America. So where I'm going to go, and those climate regions are the same. It's tropical. Okay, so tropical regions is where it's going to be. Okay. Where exactly, though? I'm just going to go sub-Saharan Africa and the Amazon. Okay. Great. All right, so now characteristics. Again, that's mainly just thinking about it in terms of definition. When you hear shift and cultivation, think slash and burn. Shift and cultivation, slash and burn. Okay, shift and cultivation, slash and burn. If you want to forget the name shift and cultivation and just say slash and burn forever, cool. Totally cool. Slash and burn agriculture is the most important thing to know. So, characteristics, slash and burn. Oops, that's gonna bug me. I gotta go down. Slash and burn. Okay. Slash and burn. Okay, and so, not to insult your intelligence, I know that you guys can do all of that without me. But that's how you go through and you complete the chart. If you can print the sheet, if you can't print the sheet, just write it out in your notebook. Very straightforward notes like that. As you're going through it, you want to be thinking about what are the environmental concerns with the different forms of agriculture, and just kind of thinking about why certain things are grown where they are. You can't grow stuff anywhere you want. There's only certain climates that something going to survive. So that's just a fact. My grandma loved olives because of martinis, and so she tried to grow them in Colorado. Did not go very well for her. Not a farmer, that one. And just because there's no way something like that can grow there. If you have an avocado plant because you take the pit and then you're like, I'm going to have an avocado tree, it's not going to work because that's just not the climate region Chicago's in. And so people are going to have differing access to different types of foods based on what you can grow there. And if you look at what people can grow a lot of in that area, that'll determine how much surplus you have. And then that gets into how much extra money you have. Sorry that this is just me ranting a lot, which isn't very helpful. Or maybe it is. I don't know. This is where it'd be great if we could have like a conversation. But I can't do Instagram live, so that got vetoed. But that was a really awesome idea. Unfortunately, we can't do social media. This is okay because it's my CPS account. All right, so hopefully that explains how to get through that worksheet for you guys so you can finish that up. I can post the pages on Classroom so that way you can access that. Once you get the brass tacks down of the different types of agriculture, then we're going to look at some practice FRQs. This really sucks because agriculture is a really awesome unit, and it's one where it's great for you guys to do a lot of hands-on stuff, not to do this like this. But anyway, please tell me what would be helpful, what I can do to help you, anything more than just posting a worksheet. I really don't want it just to be that. So that's why I'm trying to see if this can work. So far, I haven't been kicked off. So that's awesome. So maybe I can start scheduling a real time to do this. I just don't want to waste anyone's time saying, like, it'll be 1:00 and then I can't get on. And that's just not fair to anybody. Whew. Okay. So, yes, I will sign off. Please reach out to me with questions, concerns, suggestions, comments, Netflix suggestions. The best Netflix suggestion I've gotten so far is Tiger King. Seriously, it's so disturbing. It's so disturbing, but it's very cool. And yes, agriculture. I will post more videos to help you get these basic things down. I will also post some documentaries that can be helpful too. Learning comes alive with questions, so just ask me questions because I miss teaching. I miss you guys. Anyway, okay, enough of that. Have a wonderful day. Do something fun in your house, scavenger hunt, bingo, maybe. Yeah, and I will talk to y'all soon. Okay. Yes, end it.